Maul Shadowlord is apparently the gift that keeps on giving. I thought I was kind of done talking about the show, but it's caused so much interesting discourse in the fan community that I get to talk about it again, which is nice. One of the more contentious aspects surrounding the discussion of this show is whether or not Maul was nerfed, whether Maul is weaker than he should be, and when he gets into fights with the Inquisitors and eventually with Darth Vader, is this a bad thing? This is a poor depiction of his character. And I want to say, yes, Maul is kind of nerfed, but no, that is actually a very good thing, because the way they go about it is really good and sensible, and it also allows the show to explore and depict one of its major themes, which is the nature of the dark side. So Shadowlord probably has the most duels per episode of any Star Wars product ever, which is awesome, but in them, Maul often ends up losing. He's on the back foot, kind of literally, against Merrick and the Crow, and then of course against Darth Vader and Merrick and the Crow. And a lot of the time this comes down to his injured legs. From very early on in the show, we see Maul's legs take damage in a way that we've never really seen before. There's a moment in Clone Wars where it happens, but here it really kind of means something more. Because rather than just being sort of a material setback to Maul and his goals, I think the writers are using this to demonstrate something about his character, which is his inherent vulnerability. The mechanical legs, which were given to him originally by Mother Talzin and then the Mandalorians kind of restored them and made him shorter, represent the Sisyphean quality of his willingness to bounce back every time there's a defeat. But, as I said in my Sisyphus video, that is because he has a bad goal. He's not getting up to fight for something good in a noble sacrifice kind of way. As the last episode really demonstrates, he's sometimes willing to sacrifice other people like Master Daki to accomplish his goals. He is fundamentally filled with rage and he desires vengeance. He is not a man at peace. As we see in his first iteration of mechanical legs, the spider legs, it's this grotesque, horrific thing. And that's what that symbolizes, that he cobbled these things together just to keep himself sustained, and it's turned him into a monster. Now he's less overtly monstrous, but one of the messages of Star Wars is that evil looks like a strength, and short-term may be a strength, but it is a weakness. It's very cool that Maul gets to come back, but the fact that they originate in hate, they were cobbled together by rage for the purpose of vengeance and violence and destruction. They keep him up, quite literally, but they're also the thing that holds him back. So seeing that visualized, that showing and not just telling of it, is really cool. And so that's why I think Maul being quote-unquote nerfed is so well done. I think it's actually better for his character that we get this new angle on him. And then that feeds into the last thing I want to say on this, is just that is one of the underrated messages of Star Wars, is that, once again, evil is not actually a strength. One of the cool things about the dynamic between Maul and Devin is the way that Maul is kind of telling the truth. He's right about Sidious. And in the last episode, he's right that they can only really fight Vader if they throw something unpredictable at him. The question isn't necessarily, is Maul right about any particular point? Because from Maul's perspective, it's all just about victory. Winning is good. The main thing you want to do is win. So the Force is just kind of a neutral thing. You use the part of it that gets you to victory. Jedi philosophy inherently tells you that sometimes it might be better to lose. But why is that? And that's the thing that I think George Lucas is trying to tell you. Ultimately, it's that, you're a human being, you have a soul, and you need to fight for your soul as much as you fight to win this or that battle. And any victory that comes at the cost of your soul is bad. You, to some extent, are the battleground, right? The human person is a battleground of good versus evil. This is the struggle of light versus dark. This is why the Force is such a cool narrative element, is because you get to visualize that with color and with lightsabers and with Force powers. And so it's exciting and it's fun. But that's ultimately the core of it, is this spiritual fight that's going on. If you don't believe in the soul, maybe it's a psychological fight. I don't know. As we can see, to win in the way that Maul wants you to win destroys your soul, which enables you to not be at peace. Vader is way better than Maul at the dark side. That's why, and Maul is injured, but that's why Vader can sweep the floor with him. But look at how miserable this guy is. He is just a killing, destructive machine who hates himself and lost everything that he ever really wanted in life. That is what happens when you pursue the mentality of victory at any cost, that it doesn't matter how you win. That's a really great lesson in Star Wars. I think that's a really great lesson for today, specifically in a political and cultural landscape where everyone wants their side to win and is increasingly willing to do whatever it takes to make that victory happen. What Star Wars has always done is reorient you toward the fact that, no, the ends don't justify the means. Winning evilly is evil, even if it brings about some kind of short-term good. And so that's why Devon's fall to the dark side is really interesting, and I'm really curious to see what happens with that, because I love that they're getting into this side of the thing. The fact that they know that Maul is still a villain, that they know that this is wrong, but how attractive it is one of the really beautiful insights of Star Wars. And this is ultimately the tragedy of Maul. He recognizes more clearly than even Vader does that Sidious destroys lives. And much more than Vader, he's willing to fight against that. But he's still trapped in the dark side. He's still trapped by this idea of winning at all costs. So even though maybe he'll stand up to Sidious, he can never really beat him, and he'll never really be free of him. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching. Please go watch my other videos, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.